Hi friends, I took the Nike Air Zoom Tempo Next Percent for my first run in it today, and here are my thoughts. Overall, I really like the shoe. I found that it was incredibly springy feeling, it was really responsive, and I loved how much cushioning the shoe had. I feel like the shoe absorbed a lot of impact, which is going to help with my legs recovering the following day. One big con I think for the shoe, or the only con that I found, was that it is somewhat narrow compared to the Pegasus Turbos, the Zoom Flies, the standard Pegasus, any shoe like that. It does feel more narrow, so it's a lot snugger around your midfoot. So if you have a wider foot, it could be problematic, but it fit my foot really nicely, so I enjoyed that it was a bit snug feeling, but if you have a wide foot, that could be a problem. The upper is incredibly breathable. It's so thin. It was actually pretty cold on my run. It was only 5 degrees outside, so the wind was blowing through it and it actually felt a little cold on my foot, but it'll be really nice if you're running in hotter weather. Also, with the upper, on the inside of the shoe, the upper is fairly thin, but on the inside, there's a big pad for your heel, which I loved. It was really cushy. I felt like it kept my heel in place nicely and prevented any rubbing or my heel slipping out at all. And other than that, the upper was really just almost not noticeable. It was so light, so thin, it hugged my foot really well. I enjoyed the upper a lot. The next part, the midsole of the shoe. So I love the midsole. I think it's really cushy. The ZoomX foam that runs from kind of the middle of the shoe all the way through to the toe is so responsive. It's really cushy. It's stacked nice and high. I love the way it feels. It feels incredibly responsive. I ran some 8-minute miles, cutting down to 6-minute miles, and it felt great at that easier pace as well as at more of a tempo pace. I found that the ride of the shoe was really fun to run in. It felt like you were really bouncy. I think the best word to describe it would almost be like a trampoline effect. The foam squishes a lot, which is nice, but you get a bit firmer of a feeling from the AirPods, but they do compress and then kind of spring you forward. So I really enjoyed that. I think comparing it to something like the Zoom Fly, which has a carbon fiber plate in it, I think that this shoe is a lot easier to run slow miles in. The nylon plate isn't as aggressive as of a rocker, so you're not forced onto your toes as much, which makes running easy paces feel a lot easier in this shoe, but it still feels good when you pick it up. And I think that's because these AirPods are just so responsive and they really spring you forward. And I honestly love the ride of the shoe. I was a bit concerned after seeing a few of the reviews. They didn't get the best reviews. A lot of people said that they felt heavier, they were a bit clunky, or they felt stiff. I didn't find any of that. They're definitely not as light as the Pegasus Turbo 2s, but I think you're getting so much more in the shoe. You're getting the AirPods, which give a lot more cushion. You get a much higher stack height. So for me, I would choose a heavier shoe with a lot more cushioning just to keep my legs feeling nice and fresh. The outsole, the rubber felt great. It was gripping the corners well. I think it's the perfect amount. I think you want some rubber on the shoe. You don't want it to wear away too quickly. Obviously, this is a training shoe. So if you're looking at a racing shoe, obviously you'd want less rubber so it's lighter, but for a shoe that you're going to be doing training in, I think this was a perfect amount of rubber. Something else I read was that a lot of people were saying that it slapped or it was really loud. I didn't find it loud at all. Maybe it just depends what you're running on. I was running on sidewalks of concrete and then a wooden boardwalk down by the water, but it made no weird noises. It just felt exactly like any other running shoe. So for me, it wasn't noisy at all. I watched a review that was pretty interesting, and where the person, his name's Seth, and he was mentioning that he couldn't compress the AirPods, but he mentioned that he only weighs 120 pounds. I weigh a lot more. I weigh like 170, 175. And so that could be something. If you're lighter, maybe you don't compress the AirPods as much. He did not enjoy the shoe. So that could be a thing. Maybe if you're lighter, you're not going to get as much compression in the shoe and it'll feel stiff. But for me, it felt nice and flexible, really well cushioned. I could compress the AirPods. So yeah, that's my take on the shoe. I did only do one run them, so I'll take them for a few more runs, see how they feel. But so far, I will give it a thumbs up, and I think that it's going to be a great addition to my training shoes. But yeah, definitely not a racing shoe. It's definitely in the heavier category, and it's got a lot of cushioning. So if you're looking for a racing shoe, there's obviously better choices. But if you're looking for a training shoe, I think this could be a top choice. Thank you for watching, and see you again soon.